Okay, we are all settled. So I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. The Polk County Board of Commissioners. Today is Wednesday, March 11th. There are copies of the agenda on the back. All commissioners are present, with Mr. Mordhorst joining us online. Announcements are in the agenda for future public meetings. Next up on the agenda is a time for public comment. Would anybody like to address the board at this time? Please come forward, state your name and address. And we usually give folks about 3 minutes for their testimony. Or comment, I should say.
Is it on? Oh, it's on already. Okay. My name is David Pastor. I live in Polk County on Mistletoe Road, and I'm here to talk about HB 2647. And I have a couple of handouts. I only brought 4 copies. It'd probably be a lot quicker if I could just hand those out, and you could refer to them as I'm talking. If maybe you're okay. Sure. Can you pass it down?
Yep, I will.
That's the top sheet. Here's the second sheet. And the third sheet. And Commissioner Nordquist, I'm sorry that Mordquist, excuse me, I don't have a copy for you. So, but I was looking at a map that the others have that has an overview of the city, and it has a yellow areas and it has a darker orange area. And the city is planning to bring into the urban growth boundary the 2 yellow areas and to swap that with the darker orange area. The area of concern with the citizens is the one on the top left, which is identified as Area 1. And the other documents you have are a letter from 1,000 Friends of Oregon, which goes into a lot of detail, which I won't be able to talk about today. The other is a letter of support for us from the Polk County Farm Bureau. We're concerned because this is, for many reasons, not a wise and smart and safe decision. But I think probably the most fundamental reason that we're opposed to it is it doesn't conform with the law. The HB 2647 is very clear when it says that the areas to be swapped, it says the site to be swapped must be contiguous with the urban growth boundary and the city limits. If you look at the top left yellow area on the map, you can even see, and this is a map that the city provided, that the dotted lines, the red ones, do not connect. The separation, which is hard to tell from this, but if you enlarge it, is about 65 to 85 feet from the closest point on that corner, which is the southeast corner of that yellow spot. The city council at this point is saying that it's a matter of semantics. And his argument is, if you look again at that yellow area in the top left, Area 1, to the right of the bottom of that yellow area is oh, I'm sorry. There you go. And to right of the bottom of that area is a rectangle, which is narrow and goes about, if by scale, is about 800 feet by 200 feet. It's 3.91 acres. It is inside the urban growth boundary, and it is contiguous to the homes that are right across the road which are called Mistletoe Estates. And the attorney is saying that that qualifies the property for the swap. But the language is very clear in the law. It says HB 2647, the site must be contiguous, not the sites near the site, but the site itself. There's other reasons that we are opposed to it. It also, as you know, the area, the only road leading to that place is Mistletoe Road, which becomes Church Street, which intersects with Stadium right by the campus. And Stadium is a narrow, or at least 20-mile-an-hour college road. And students use it all the time. And beg pardon?
That's 3 minutes, sir. I'll give you a couple
Oh, a couple more. Oh, thank you. You're better than the city. You don't beep when you tell me. They have this horrible beep. Oh, by the way, I want to aside. I want to compliment whoever's responsible for the staff of the county. They have been very good, and I'm not just saying that to incur your favor. The staff in the Planning Community Development Department, the Assessor's Office, the Public Works, they all have been very helpful, not taking a political side, but they've just been very professional and excellent. So maybe you can give them a raise. I doubt that. So in any event, back to the map, that area that's to the right of the yellow is what the city council is saying now qualifies for contingency. I'm hoping, I contacted Paul Evans, Assemblyman Paul Evans, representative who authored this bill, and I asked him his opinion, if he knew at the time. And I just want to read a portion of the email he responded to me. He's very gracious, and he's responded quickly. But he said that the city, he said he was surprised, truth be told, the inclusion of the area near Talmadge Road, which was in the bottom right, and a little surprised by the scale of the land outlined in your email and recent conversations with folks directly. So I've asked Assemblyman Evans to work with Representative Anna Scharf to author another bill that would restrict rather open up some of the normal processes that are there for the county to review moving property into the urban growth boundary, which I understand is not restricted by HB 2647. And I'll see if Representative Evans will be willing to do that. In the meantime, we're continuing to fight the move because I don't think it's a wise one. It's unsafe for students. It's unsafe for emergency services, which would have to come from near 3 miles away in Independence to get there through residential and college roads. And there's other places that we want the city to use. I'm meeting this afternoon with the city manager and the mayor, who I know were involved with this back in March of 2025. Their testimony is at the state legislature where they supported this bill. And we didn't hear about it at all until January. Yeah, those of us who live in the county. Oh, my apologies. Maybe that's my timer. Anyway, if you have any questions, I'll be glad to ask. I know I have a limited time, but I do have one request. I don't know if the county can do anything at this point. If you can send an informal letter to the city saying you reviewed the materials, the letters, and those letters are there for you to review. Very well documented why they say it does not qualify, and tell the city to cease and desist on Area 1. We would certainly appreciate that. So any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them.
No, thank you, Mr. Pastor. I appreciate your comments, and
thank you. Thank you for the
consult with our council should the county have a role in this process.
Good. Thank you for the extra
Appreciate you voicing concerns of yours and others in the area.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, any other comments for the board? Next up is approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Next, and then approval of minutes from March 4th.
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Next up, we have Dr. Steve Young here, Director of the North Willamette Research and Extension Center. Great to have you here, sir. Looking forward to the event coming up.
Yeah, thank you. It's an honor to be here and be able to give you all an update from what's happening in the center. And as requested, how is the money that you've been allocating being used? So hopefully you'll see that in my presentation. Happy to answer questions along the way, or if we want to wait till the end, happy to do that as well. So I'll just get started. So as you know, the North Willamette Research and Extension Center is in Aurora, and we have a quite a diversified, let's see, if you scroll, it should scroll, okay.
Sometimes it has to be closer to the computer. That's why I put it right in the middle. Yeah.
That. So, and I think most of you're aware of the center, you know about what we do in general, but obviously the focus is in very general terms. We are trying to make or help stakeholders, growers, producers be profitable in various ways. And we cover a number of different crops, a number of different production systems, nursery, strawberries, berries, orchard crops. There's a list of things that we do. But the other thing that we also do is work with students. It's a really big part of our program, whether they do internships, whether they are actively involved in the programs that happen there. But we view that as an opportunity to inspire them and see them progress, especially in the agricultural field. So it's a couple of the main things that we do. Obviously, you can see where we're located in comparison to Polk County. I want to go over just some new faces that have arrived there. And this is 2025. So I'm summarizing last year. Have some new personnel that's come in, really kind of enhanced our programs, really made some significant impacts. We have a new leader for our IR4 pesticide registration field research program, IR4. Really focuses on specialty crops and providing growers, producers with those tools that they can't get if they're not producing corn, soybeans, and wheat. So really important program there. We have an individual working on Christmas trees. So it's an area that I was not familiar with until I started. So I'm learning a lot about Christmas trees and the requirements for producing them. A lot of growers. In fact, Oregon is #1 in Christmas tree sales. We had a student intern this last year working on marketing and promotion, really important aspect of our center. Her picture didn't show up, but she was really a really valuable piece there. And as well, I started back in June, so fairly new to the position, but learning a lot. And part of my being here is to understand the issues in each county that we're working in. So some of the highlights, and I'm going to go just really quickly through some of our programs. So, and these are highlights of 2025. And so our berry crop program. So it's a huge investment to find and identify a lot of the new varieties that are coming out, whether they're blueberries, whether they're caneberries, whether they're, any kind of berry. We also work in strawberries. Some of the new, or one of the big things was a new berry sorting and processing shed. Yes, we do actually get new buildings there. It's surprising, but it happens. This is going to improve data collection as well as help with some of the needs of stakeholders in pre and post-harvest fruit research. There's some new equipment to individually quick freeze fruit. So think of a walk-in cooler that goes to sub-zero temperatures. So figuring out how that impacts the fruit and the quality is very important, especially when we talk about sales. And then they've got some new plantings. So looking at blueberry, kiwi berries, which is something that's, I think, an up-and-coming berry, as well as research on these cultivars and trying to figure out what is going to work for growers. A little bit related to that, berry. So we have a blueberry extension program specifically looking at how to get this information out to growers. A couple of the highlights. #1 was sanitation practices. It's a huge issue, especially when we talk about machine harvesting. You run a machine through, you harvest, you get a lot of berry and leaves and other kind of debris. So how do you maintain a sanitary practice? A really important research that they were doing with the University of Georgia, as well as the OSU Blueberry chat bot. So yes, chat GPT is coming to extension. And so Wei Yang actually is our extension faculty individual who, as you can read, has used a lot of AI, a lot of machine learning to create this tool for growers, producers, anyone that wants to know all about blueberries. They can use this tool to actually tailor it to their interests. So think of your traditional chat GPT. This is for blueberries. So very innovative, and it's just getting rolled out. So there's not a lot of numbers on how much is being used, but something that I think is going to get some attention as we go forward. As I mentioned, Christmas trees. So Priya, who just began on Christmas Eve 2024. No, that was not a random thing. They decided to do that because of her area. She's just getting started. So they have a grant that's been funded through the USDA NIFA looking at genetic improvements of different Christmas tree varieties. It's a whole program across the country looking at not only the genetics and the production practices, but the economics and diagnostics. That's going to be an exciting thing to see how that comes out. She's also very much in demand during the holidays, as you can imagine. She's been on the news quite a bit. But even more important is it brings some recognition to our center, it brings attention to what we do there. And we would really like to see that throughout the entire year. So something that I think is going to be a program that's going to be really important, especially as we move forward and seeing how that develops. Nursery greenhouse production, a couple of the highlights, and this is through Lloyd Knackley and Luisa Santa Maria. So they've mentored some students there. Obviously, they're working in the industry, presentations. They've been at Far West. They've been making sure that the information is getting out to our stakeholders, and partnerships. And that's really something that not just the nursery program, but that's where I see we really need to make a strong effort to develop these partnerships, not only with our agencies and organizations, but also our industry partners. You can see the list of folks there that the programs are working with. And I view that as really critical to our center and being aware and addressing the needs of the industry. So that's something that I'm paying attention to very closely. Hazelnuts and tree fruit. I don't think I need to tell you how important hazelnuts are and what the growth is. We were no different. The group there at our center actually harvested 18,000 pounds. This was a record harvest this year for them. And they're also doing some other things. Again, these are just highlights. I could go into a long laundry list, but I won't do that. They're looking at hedgerows, really important as far as these orchard production practices. How do you minimize pests, other kinds of non-desirable species coming in? And they're finding the hedgerows and the different plants and the different species in there can actually do a really important job in that. So they've just begun that program. It's a collaboration between several different groups. I'm excited to see how this comes out and see how it's impacting growers and producers. Again, like I said, our IR4 specialty crop registration program, very active program, very much applied. As you can see, they did 17 field trials this last year looking at pesticide residues. They collect data. They provide this to EPA, make sure it's approved. A lot of these new pesticides are not registered or nearing the registration stage. So our program is very important in getting it to the final stage and making it available to growers. And then they've gone through, there's a process, this food use environmental horticulture workshop. This is kind of a procedure where projects are talked about, are presented, they're decided on, and then the ultimate mission is to help growers across the U.S. get the tools that they need. So this IR4 program is not just the only one in the U.S. It's one of several across the country. And in fact, this is the main one on the West Coast. So we're very fortunate to have them here, and it's really actually doing a lot of, really providing a lot of great support for the producers that are in this area. Our small farms program, this is actually really an area where it allows us to actually connect to urban communities. Our small farms coordinator, she works primarily in Clackamas, Washington, Multnomah County, but she also has some responsibilities in others. So I know there's some needs here in Polk County, and so we're looking at how do we expand these efforts. But again, she is very much engaged with small farmers. Some people refer to them hobby farmers, backyard farmers. Right, they don't necessarily contribute to our overall production, but they're still at a very important as far as providing local food distribution. We've had a lot of interest and work on that. This is an example of a workshop that she held and looking at some of the new technology to get in the hands of small farmers to say, you know what, this stuff is actually important for you folks as well. A very good group there that you can see in the pictures, and I think it was a really valuable kind of opportunity. But again, there's a lot more here. I wish I could tell you more, but just a really important kind of program that actually is bringing folks together. As you know, the commissioners, I have discussed our other counties' involvement. And this is actually helping us to make connections to other counties that are not as, how do I put it, contributory. So we're actually able to make a point that we are doing something in your county, and this is hopefully going to reflect some increase in their support. So it's a very important program and allows us to do the things that they recognize or they feel is important in their county. We can have a whole discussion there, but I just wanted to point that out. Moving on to our vegetable specialty seeds program. This is a really dynamic program where this last year, the focus was organic seed production. And a lot of that is, yes, there's probably not a huge organic vegetable production practice in the region, but there's a national interest in it. And so looking for funding, looking for opportunities to support that is what she is able to do. And there's also some transition, there's also some translation to conventional practices as well. I want to highlight one of the things this year was, you can see in the picture, we had a farm droid, which is not a outer space UFO kind of thing. It's actually in the field. It's a autonomous platform, solar powered, moves through the field and actually weeds and plants at the same time. And so we had a grower field day. We actually are working with Monacuco Farms, which is actually at our location. They're very impressed with it. They loved it, but it was not quite designed for their system. So I think that's a minor issue. I think there's a lot of ways that we can work on that, but just demonstrating this kind of technology is important for our center. And I want to see more of this. I want to see more of these kinds of things brought in to show that we are looking at these cutting edge kinds of things. So I want to go shift a little bit to our collaborators, and I apologize for the fine print there. I probably should have split this up into 2 slides. So I just went over our programs at our center that are traditionally what we work on. And these are because of our relationship with the college, but we also have opportunities to work with collaborators. And that actually includes anyone that wants to do research, that wants to look at some of the issues that they're faced with. I highlighted a couple of them. We are actually working with 2 individuals in the Biological Environmental Engineering Department at OSU, looking at agrivoltaics. That project has been there for going on, this is their 3rd year. It's a topic that there's a lot of discussion. There's a lot of, how should it be done? Where should it be done? So we're able to provide an example of what it might look like. We're also looking at, we have an individual working on groundwater. So what are the effects of our aquifers, and how is water that's being infiltrated into those aquifers? What is the amount? What is the toxicity? Are there any impurities that are going in as well? So that's a significant project as well. We are also looking at, we have some folks from OSU Extension looking at olive production. So that's a really exciting kind of an alternative new crop, looking at their production practices. In fact, this year they had a record harvest, and they actually produced I think I got an email yesterday about an award that they got for the quality of the olive oil. So good to see that. They're working with Durant Olives as well. So that's a really nice connection. And then the last thing is we have a company, a small startup working on aquaponics. And it's this lateral systems, and they are working to see how can they develop these systems to allow stakeholders, allow growers to incorporate these into their greenhouse practices. So a really an important piece. We've got some challenges as far as our facilities there, and you talk about greenhouse space. That's a separate issue, but it's good to have these collaborators there. And like I mentioned already, we're working with Monacuco Farms. They are a big vegetable producer there in Canby and across the region. So it's a really nice relationship. So like I said, just to highlight, we're making progress. Not as fast as I want to see, but I know I have to be patient, so I'm doing that. But as you can see there, Blueberry Field Day, we have the Nursery Science Summit. I've got a lot of IPM work. We even got our hazelnut position as an endowed position. So really nice to see that. The industry stepped up and made Nick Wyman endowed. Obviously the farm droid and chefs. Yes, we even get chefs out to our location to see the kinds of alternative crops that our small farms program produces and how can they use that in their restaurants and things like that. So a lot of really exciting things happening, a lot of great examples. But my kind of question continues to be, and I know I've not been there very long, but are we achieving our potential? And I think there's always room to grow. I think there's always room to expand, to increase capacity. And the question in my mind is the chicken and the egg. So investments or advancements, which comes first? And I'm going to suggest that in 1961, when the center went in, there was an investment and advancements have occurred. I think we're now in a period where we've seen these advancements. We've seen new varieties come out. We've seen a lot of benefits to producers, growers. And now we're looking for investments. And I'm not coming here to ask for investments. I'm just making a statement that that's the period that I think we're in right now. And I'm looking forward to seeing where that is going to take us. But I also want to put up a slide as far as this is very general, our expenses for last year as a relation to the investment that you're making into our center. A lot of it is going into payroll. And this is not a surprise probably to anyone. We have annual personnel. We have 25 individuals that are employed at our center. Some of their, if it's a faculty member, that funding comes through the college. If they're on staff, that money comes through the college as well, but it's allocated in a different way. So we get about $1 million for covering salary. And then we also, we get about $1.5 million, and the other one is about $255,000 for expenses, supplies, things that allow us to keep our operation running. And then there is a portion in there for my travel. So I go to things like this, try to get out and really make the center known more broadly and more widely. So these are some of our expenses that we're incurring, and so it's a and this isn't news to anyone, right? This isn't a surprise that I think we're in the same position as a lot of folks, but we're doing, I think, fairly well. Our budget is not in the red, it's not in the black. We're maintaining a pretty balanced budget, and that's what I'm going to be focusing on to try to maintain that and seeing what are ways we can grow it. So one example that I'll just share really quickly is a grower research cooperative. We have land available, and we have an opportunity to have growers, producers there to use the land as a production opportunity, but also as an opportunity to be involved with research. We already have Monacuco, we all have a strawberry grower. I think if we can actually get some other folks there, we start to generate some more revenue that helps us be more sustainable. So those are the kinds of things. I'm looking outward. I think all of us, we all hate to look inward and start cutting things. It's just not exciting. So I'm trying to look for other ways to generate revenue. But I think for right now, we're in a pretty good position. But again, I want to thank you guys for your support. It's making a huge difference, and we're really appreciative of that. And I will just end with, so what are we doing? What are we looking for the farm of the future? I want to highlight a few things here. We do have a new 4G network. That's not surprising for a lot of folks, but at our location, this is huge. We've got some things that we can do with that now. It's not just your standard Wi-Fi. There's some capabilities of, we can actually run irrigation systems, turn systems on. We can save water. We can run different operation, different kinds of things where we can be more efficient. So that's going to help that way. We have a new conference pavilion that was started last year. It's not quite done yet. There's some things that need to happen there. Hopefully you all get a chance to see that at some point when it's finished. I'll let you know when that happens. And so those are a couple of things. And as I mentioned already, the berry storage processing facility, that's exciting to see. So that's going to allow the berry program to really do some, just allow them to have some space to actually do the things that they need to do. But I'm also in thinking about a modernization plan. And I'm not saying that this is necessarily what it's going to look like, but if we're going to be the future, if we're going to actually carry on the research that is expected, we need a facility that's not built in the 1960s. In a lot of ways, it's run its course. We actually have a building that's 1900. And I keep telling people, we're not a museum. It's not the point. So this is something that I am looking at as far as, long-term, is it going to happen in the next year? And probably not. We're talking probably 5 years, maybe even longer. But just to get that idea, that thought process started, you all have been invited to our anniversary celebration, where we are going to unveil a plan for what a future NREC might look like. So I'm working with architects right now to draw up what something might look like in the future. Hopefully have a 3D model to get people thinking that way. And then we think about what is that going to, how would that transpire and what might happen with that. So that's kind of some things that are in the, building wise, as far as program wise. We just had a great Ag in the Classroom presentation a couple Saturdays ago. Really great event. We've got our 65th anniversary celebration. We are having a fall fundraiser dinner. Used to be a harvest dinner. It's now the fall fundraiser dinner, and we're partnering with the Food Innovation Center. I've already got the keynote speaker identified, so that's going to be an exciting activity. Other things, outreach engagement. I'm having a lot of meetings with industry organizations. I met with you folks. My point is building relationships and getting out to meet people, learn what the issues are, learn what the challenges are, and how can our center be involved? How can we address those? Your NREC News is our newsletter. I believe you all receive a copy of that. So that comes out quarterly. We've got some collaborations with the, like I said, so the Master Gardener, I'd love to see them be part of the redesign of our entryway. We're not public facing. We need to have that redesigned. We're also looking at partnering with the open source lab on OSU campus. I was actually just there yesterday. It's a really great concept where you bring in students to actually work with technology to address real world problems. So they want to have a similar location at our site, work with community colleges. And then we're planning to have a Smart Farm Expo probably in 2027, work with organizations, industry, departments, to have it there at our center and really highlight this kind of, future direction and even present. We get a lot of growers that come and say, wow, you guys are still using that stuff? So it just to me reminds me that we need to be thinking and actually actively pursuing these kinds of, future endeavors. So I believe that's it. So I want to again thank you for your time today. Thank you for your investment in our center. Appreciate it, and I'd be happy to answer questions or anything you want to bring up or comment about. So, thank you.
Thank you, Director. We will open it up to comments.
I want to give Lyle a shot first, I guess.
Commissioner Mornhorst, do you have any comments or questions?
Yeah, thank you. And Steve, I'm sorry I'm not there in person. But I just love your vision, your enthusiasm, and your drive. The agriculture is the backbone of this state's economy. The forestry, nurseries, and just to see somebody willing to help to make it more efficient and make it more solid in the economy for the state is just exciting. So keep up the great work. I love your vision of your buildings. You're right, it's hard to work out of something built in the 1900s. But there's ways around it. And I see you're doing it until we can figure out some funding for you. But thanks for making the drive up and filling us in. I love the investment we make with you. Thanks.
Yep. Ed, I'm happy to do this annually or whatever it's convenient. I want to, and this goes for all the counties, I want to keep them aware of what we're doing, and obviously working with our county extension partners, just so you get a firsthand view of what's happening, because I do not want it to be where, hey, what's going on with NREC? We don't even know. So that's what I want to make sure I'm not letting that fall by the wayside.
Okay. Now you get to put your thinking cap on. If you would, roll back to the slide where you had your graph pie chart up there. of finances. There we go.
Yep.
What's the total for your revenues?
So I made these are expenses.
What's the total for your revenues?
So revenue is about 2.5 million.
And your total expenses?
So that's for our NREC expenses. So so it's I think it's 1.5 or 1 the numbers, yeah, it's 1.5 million, our expenses.
Okay, well, something wrong there. I mean, there's $1 million gap.
Yep.
So where's that $1 million?
Yep. So this represents what is allocated to so the college allocates funding, but that's just to pay for salaries. That's to pay for the basics. The other $1 million covers faculty salaries. So our 7 faculty that are within our center, that's not included in the payroll that you're seeing here. That's a separate category. And I like I said, I could provide more of these, and the other thing is so that covers another about 700, well, probably $700,000 to $800,000. And then what's also not included in there is grants that they're bringing in. So they're, like I mentioned,
Nor is the expenses for the research included in that pie chart.
No, it's not.
So
Yep.
no separate pie.
Yep.
All I'm doing is setting this up. You're doing great.
Yep.
Setting this up as an example of this isn't the picture. This is a piece of the picture.
Exactly.
And so I'm going to start with, just for the benefit of the public, because they don't get to hear this kind of stuff.
Yep.
And it's their money.
Right.
It's their money.
Yep.
It's not the university's money. This is taxpayer dollars that are paying for this stuff.
Right.
How many other centers are there in the state of Oregon?
So there are 13 other centers.
How many of those centers besides NREC fund the way NREC does?
As far as
Taking donations, taking money from counties specifically, for example. My understanding is there is not another center that
No.
takes money from counties.
No, not in this way.
Right. So I want to make certain that my peers and the public understand that what we do here in the Willamette Valley is unique.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That's all good.
Yep.
But it's unique. And so you've already answered my question with regard to field research faculty. You have 7. A big portion of that extra $1 million, that some is coming from the counties, some is coming from research donations from individual entities, yes?
Right.
Like hazelnut growers, blueberry growers association, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
At some point, I'd like to see, I've been asking for this, Steve, for a long time.
Yeah.
I have a difficult time getting this. And again, for the record, I have been the attaché liaison from Polk County Board of Commissioners to NREC and the NREC Advisory Committee for 15 plus years. I keep looking for what's the breakdown of revenue and the benefits to the individual associations. There's no benefit to the counties that we can measure other than showing our constituents, ag and forestry constituents, that we're investing
Right.
in economic benefit for the future. But the individual associations that are engaged or have been engaged with the center do expect to see a return on their investment.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a hard time ever really visualizing what it is on a given year or what the ebb and flow is of that on a given year. And the challenge I have with that, and I've expressed this through the NREC Advisory Committee and you know, to people higher up than you over the years, is we need to be able to develop and maintain a trust with these end users, if you will, these folks that expect the research. And I applaud all the research that you and your folks are doing, but how's it resonating? How's it connecting to the end user community? And usually you can see that, in my view, by what they invest, right? Counties, of course, can't really visualize a connection there. There's no way for us, you know, we put $20,000 in. We don't know what that does. We expect, you know, that our constituents, especially in the producers out there, go, yeah, I'm glad that my county invests some money for the research, but you know, is it the research I need? You know, you touched on forage, for example.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Anyhow, so where I'm getting to is trying to understand how much the counties invest on a regular basis. I keep hearing that, you know, we're going to see some new activity on the county side. I hope so, before I leave. And I'll feel like I've achieved something if that happens, by the way. I keep saying it every year. But I'm very concerned about, you know, whether we're meeting the demand of the user community, the producer community with the center. And I see value in everything that happens there, but do they? And so that I'm asking a bit of a hypothetical question, but also one that should be rooted in real numbers. You know, what's being invested and what's the trend line? Are we seeing improvement now under your leadership? You know, is it flatline? Is it going down? Things like that going forward. I don't expect an answer to all of that today, but I think it's important for us as we are looking at continuing investment and trying to encourage other counties, commissioners to make those investments the best they can. We also should be able to validate that with, look at these trends. These are important things to do. I don't have it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And your questions are similar to mine.
Okay.
So I want to know the same answer. And that's, like I said, I've been here for almost 10 months. And one of the things that I'm very intentional doing, so nursery industry is huge. And it's why I'm going to visit them and talking to them and hearing what is it we're doing or what is it we're not doing. Because if I don't understand that, I don't think I can get to the point of saying, okay, we're making a difference here. And connecting that to the funds that are being invested, what is you know, the help, or what is the return that you're seeing from that? And that is a very challenging, it's a very nebulous kind of, you know, factor or impact, but it's there. And I think you're right. That has to be allocated. And your question about the budget, another county has asked the same thing. And so we are working on putting a budget together that answers their questions. So I would be happy to provide an answer to your specific questions if that would be of value to you or all of the commissioners, because that's something, right? It's public money, it's public dollars, it's public information. There's no secret there. And, you know, putting that together would be fine. But I think at the same time, making sure that I'm connecting to our stakeholders is critical, and finding out what is important to them. I could share some examples, but I'll keep it brief right now. But I'm right with you. What is our value to the community, to the stakeholders, and how is it improving their operations, their livelihoods, that kind of thing?
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
A great question. And just to build on that a bit, you know, every field we see, every plant planted is sitting on a foundation of research and innovation. So return on investment can mean dollar for dollar. Hey, this is how we've actually been able to allow growers to get more out of every acre monetarily, but maybe there's some research practices and product or whatever that is a direct result from, you know, the 13-member research center, or maybe this one in particular. So that helps us tell the story. So I appreciate the conversation, and we'll use whatever you produce too to help tell the story. I'm curious if the mothership, OSU, sees the diversity of investment here from associations and counties, and for lack of a better word, sort of rewards you for that, for future asks. If there are capital expansions that you're looking into, is this something that's valued by central leadership in your mind?
Yes, it's valued to the extent that it can be supported. As you know, resources are limited, and so the vision is great, but making it happen is the other side of that. So there's some involvement of leadership in that arena. But yes, there's support in the vision and in the direction, in the actual making that happen, the details. And this is so leadership is very much, they treat the units autonomously in that regard. So the things that we're able to do as far as donations, doing programs that have generate revenue, that's kind of up to us, and that's encouraged. But as far as allocating dollars from the main campus, it ebbs and flows. So yeah, and we would all like to see more. I would, but it's a process, and I think it goes back to the impact. If we're having the impact that is really being that stakeholders really appreciate and really are saying we need that, like we need NREC. If that's the message, that speaks a lot louder than me saying anything. So that's my goal, is to make to encourage the stakeholders to say, you guys are a valuable resource. Now go tell someone that has the resources to make it happen.
Well, I appreciate your partnership and your presence here, both in a public meeting and in your one-on-one meetings with us. I agree with Commissioner Mordhorst. Your vision is ambitious, but very exciting. And supporting our farmers and our agricultural community is very critical to us. And they're facing pressures, as you know, that are very challenging. So anything we can do to help.
Well, you've done a lot, tremendous amount already. Support has been fantastic. And like I keep saying, if you can, I need connections, and you've done that already. You've had some really great, contacts. That's really valuable for me to make sure that I am meeting with the people that are benefiting or could benefit from our center. So I'd say keep doing that. Let's keep communicating. This is great. I have no problem, meeting and being involved this way. So I appreciate your time this morning. It's been really valuable, and happy to continue on, going forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
If I may give you a critique, don't put that slideshow out again without Chad's piece in there.
Yes.
So do I.
Yes. Right.
What it takes.
Yes. Got it.
Because that's a big deal to a lot of us. So.
And that's a great point. The picture that he sent me
Chad
was a picture of him giving a presentation. So, right, I do that, and I appreciate that comment. Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
There's a huge investment there, and a lot of people very interested.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
We have a lot of voltaic applications. You want to just explain in 2 sentences what that is?
The ag voltaics program. So our ag voltaics is basically looking at can you multi-use of land for harvesting energy from the sun, and in our case, can you grow crops underneath it? So he's looking at things like berries, vegetables, pasture, and seeing what is the effect of these panels over the land, and looking at soil moisture as well. So it's a huge subject, a huge topic. He gives tours actually, I think, pretty much weekly, or I know every other week. So there's a lot of interest there. But yeah, that's a critical factor. So, yep.
Okay, appreciate it.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, well, that concludes our regular business. Is there a need for an executive session today?
Yes, sir. The board will meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192-660 sub 2D to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to conduct labor negotiations.